Okay, so this is one that I'm going over a lot with clients right now. Does it make more sense to buy the house for less compared to maybe even getting a seller credit? And a lot of times clients don't even understand what I mean when I say, let's run the numbers with the credit compared to the price reduction. Now, this is only relevant in scenarios where, let's say the house is sitting on the market, there's an opportunity to get it for maybe a cheaper price. Let's say it's listed for 750, it's sat on the market for 2 weeks. The sellers might reduce the price by 20 and you want to offer 730. I'm going to run numbers to show maybe you offer the 750, but you get 20 back, right? I think I actually ran slightly different numbers. I think I did 700 compared to 720, but bear with me. Let's go ahead and share the screen here again, as I like to always do. Let's pull up the numbers. So this would be a scenario if you did a $20,000 price reduction compared to a $20,000 credit on a single family home at 720, again, compared to 700. So let's look at the numbers. If you bought the house for 700, 15% down, let's say you got a rate of 6.625. Again, it's more about the mechanism here than it is the timing of what the rate is. Relevant to whenever you're watching this video, rates might be higher or lower at the time. The mechanism is going to be the same math. So let's take a peek. You're looking at a payment of 46.34. If you go in and do 720 with a $20,000 credit, and we take that $20,000 credit and we shove it into the interest rate and we buy down that rate, we make your closing costs more, but the seller is paying for that in the credit. It's coming from the proceeds of the sale. So you pay 720 at closing, the 20 gives you this, the seller gives you 20 back. That 20 back goes into interest rate discount points, buys down the rate all the way from 6.625 to 5.625. That swing is going to be a $300 payment swing, or 284. Now, in terms of cash to close, it's going to be slightly more on the cash to close because you're still doing 15% down of 720. Your down payment's going to be a little bit higher. Daily interest is going to be a little higher. There's going to be some things that carry forward that make it slightly more expensive. But look what we're looking at here. We're looking at a $20,000 price increase with the credit, and we're looking at a $5,000 cash out of pocket difference. So you're not really spending that extra 20 right away. Now, the next part that usually trips people up is, well, now my loan amount's higher, right? That means I'm going to pay way more money in interest, Mike. That doesn't make any sense. But this is where it matters what your note rate is because we took that 20 grand, we paid down the note rate to 5.625. And yes, your loan amount starting at 612 compared to 595 on paper is higher. But now let's look at it from the equation of what if you made your 30 years worth of payments? It's actually less. So you would pay less interest over 30 years compared to this one. So if you bought the house for 700, never refinance. All of this is never refinance. You have to look at it that way because you have to do the math based on what are you signing up for today. And I know a lot of people in my space industry want to be smart and talk about what rates are going to do and might do and this year and cycles. And I have those conversations too, and I make some bets as well. But here's the reality. Anytime you sign up for something, focus on what you're signing up for. You're signing up for a 30-year fixed mortgage. You're signing up to make payments for 30 years. Don't worry about what rates they're going to do in 10, what they're going to do in 5, what they're going to do in a year, when you're going to refi, when you're going to do that, because you don't have control over that. You have control over what you're signing up for today. So without going down a rabbit hole, let's do all the math, assuming that everything goes to fruition and you make 30 years of payments, right? Let's not add any variables to it because the variables are unknown. They're useless information for the most part unless you like to gamble. I'm not gambling on these videos. It's all straight math. So from that standpoint, you would save money in the long run because of that manipulation of the interest rate all the way down here. And also, if you do want to do the variables, if you're at 5.625, that means that it's even further down the road for you to refinance. For it to start to make sense, you need rates in the fours, which is really far potentially away, or we need a recession for that to happen. Now, let's double down and let's look at it from the angle of these two scenarios are both within your wheelhouse. So you could afford the $700,000 higher payment and you could afford the 720 with the lesser payment. They both work. Now let's look at it in a vacuum of what if you get the credit and then you also make extra payments with the credit and make the equal payment on the 20 year, on the 30 year, 720 with the credit that you would on the 20K price reduction. Because again, this payment's higher than this one. So you make a principal reduction payment of 284. Now look at how much money you save. So that's total interest in MI again, paid over 30 years. You pay 552 in total interest in MI. You pay the house off 5 years faster, but you paid more for the house. That's the power of a credit used to a permanent rate reduction, not a temporary buy down, not an adjustable rate mortgage that puts you at risk of that rate moving. That's your rate for the next 30 years. Set it and forget it. You know exactly what your principal and interest payment is. That is the benefit of if you have a house that's in a soft market and you're having conversations with your realtor about a price reduction offer, let me lowball, let me do this, you should be comparing it alongside of a credit scenario to manipulate your interest rate permanently to put you in a position where now you're nimble. Now you have a lower payment. You can make the payment higher if you want to, increase that freedom point, pay your house off faster, or you could save 284 a month, shove that aside into an investment account, right? That's all within the same framework of the conversation of I can get this house for cheaper, but then you're taking it one layer further and go, how do I get this house and have the highest and best use of my money and the equity that the market's created because the house on paper might be worth 720. It's just that the market dynamics are ahead of values. When prices are going up, people are paying more than what houses are worth on paper. And when prices are sliding, people are paying less than what houses are worth on paper. So you might have a vacuum of availability to get the appraisal at 720 still, but get that credit and get a better outcome. Stop share and record.